So let us start. So I'll be speaking very briefly about marginality. Marginality. The title of my paper is Marginality Film in India, and I will be attempting a reading of Srijit Mukherjee's very recent film. In fact, Tanvir mentioned this phrase, which has become very popular nowadays as well, and that is "Shotti bole shotti kichu nei." This film was released very recently in February 2025, and I got to watch this film in Malda itself, in the SBF cinemas, and I was just taken, aback by the content that the film raised. So I would be talking about this film from the perspectives of marginality studies, and try to look at certain aspects of this film as well. Many of you may not have watched it actually because it didn't do well in the box office, and this is again one of our ironies when it comes to what do we understand by what is a good film. This is also about manufacturing consent. You know, what works in terms of film industry and what doesn't really work. Doesn't necessarily mean how good or bad that particular film is from a critical angle. So, where is the PowerPoint? Abidul, PowerPoint. Right. So, from the morning, actually, with Anisur Rahman sir's brilliant keynote, you see, he used one very significant term. I don't know if you remember it. Margins matter. These two words, margins matter. And he so wonderfully, described what it means to be in the margins. What is marginality? And even after him, the later speakers, both in online and in offline modes, have spoken about marginalities in India. I will not talk about all of these, the contexts and debates. I had it in my paper, but I'm skipping these parts. See, basically what I would like to talk of is just one little point that I would like to make, is that how do we look at the whole context of marginality in today's context, in the neoliberal, globalized times that we are passing through. How do we look at this whole experience of marginalization? And we have been understanding marginalities in terms of binaries. Many previous speakers have spoken about this. See, the privileged, unprivileged, us, them, self, other, dominant, dominated binaries. But, we can also move beyond that. It's time for us, particularly in this global context, it is important that we move beyond the notions of binaries and talk about a narrative of becoming as well. A narrative of becoming and the ways in which the marginal groups that we have been talking of since morning, the ways in which this experience of marginality comes to us. How can we challenge that? How can we question that? Are there ways to destabilize the center, so to say? Like Tanvir was talking of the notion about the lack of a particular any fixity about whether it is marginality, whether it is center. So this is what basically the target is, and there is always a possibility of a certain kind of a reassessment of the analytical categories of marginality. Okay? By that is the process of becoming that I was referring to, and the conceptualization of self-identities is a case in point. Let us take an example, and that example is the way we have been using social media. এটা আমি এটা ছাত্রছাত্রীদের জন্যই বলছি যে আমরা সোশ্যাল মিডিয়ার যে ব্যবহারটা আজকে করছি, একটু আগে স্যার বলছিলেন যে one of the major problems of our society today is the way we have been using the mobile phone. Yeah, that is true, but at the same time, you see, why are we doing that? Why are we so engaged with the mobile phones and all that? Okay, probably that is because একটু প্লিজ এখানটা প্লিজ বলি। সো why are we using the mobile phone? এমনি কি করছি আমরা? নিশ্চয়ই কোনো একটা আকর্ষণ বা কিছু। এটাকে শুধুমাত্র মানে এটা খুব খারাপ এভাবে জাজ করা আর বাইরেও কিন্তু একটা ন্যারেটিভ থাকতে পারে এবং in the context of marginalization what we can do is or how we can see into this whole phenomenon of Facebooking of my social media handles. This is the first time that the individual who might be marginalized, may not be marginalized, but somebody who is belonging to a marginalized group in terms of, you know, whatever construction that Tanvir was talking of. So a constructed marginality or a marginalization, if anybody is part of that, that person has got a sense of agency through his or her use of his or her social media handles, right? So when I am posting something on Instagram, when I am sharing a reel, when I am creating something, this whole power, this whole agency is coming back to me, which had otherwise been denied to me so far in my marginalized position. So that is where, you know, the mobile phone, or obviously through the mobile phone, the larger social media becomes so important, and we are all engaged in it because that is where I can talk up what I feel. What's on your mind is written in Facebook, right? So what is in my mind? Who else has given me the scope to tell to the world what is in my mind? Who cares? Nobody. It is the social media that has given me that platform to talk about that. So this is one example, one instance, little one, for in the ways in which we can question and challenge and decenter the traditional ways in which we have been looking at, you know, the center margin binary. I don't have too many slides. I have just one more slide left, or two more, which are from the films. So this is the poster of the film. Shotti bole shotti kichu nei. And I hope in the next 5 minutes I will just deal with the film, and I hope you will be interested in taking a look at back at this film. Okay, so this is Srijit Mukherjee's latest work, and not that I had been a great fan of Srijit, but after watching this film, I was really, you know, awestruck by the quality of the film, by the brilliance of the layered narrative that Srijit places. So in India, there are several layers and several kinds of marginalities. I'm not going into the details. In the papers that will be coming up after this session, we will be hearing about these, and even tomorrow we will be hearing about those. So there might be margins of social inclusion, exclusion, gender, caste, class. All of these marginal issues are addressed in this particular film, and that is where I would try to take a look at this film. Okay, so now this film is, another interesting fact about this film, this film is a remake of Ek Ruka Hua Faisla, which came out in 1989, which was a remake of 12 Angry Men, which was done in 1957, and that was again a remake of another telefilm, 12 Angry Men, which was directed by Reginald Netzo. So you see, there are several layers, and again Srijit had an older theatre script for this particular film, which he now turned into a film. So this was a 2006 script, which Srijit has now made into a film. One of the reasons for the delay was that Srijit was thinking of, this was about to be released in 2012, and Srijit, the main character basically, the character of Shotto, the one that, okay, I'm coming back to that. So the character of Shotto was to be played by Rituparno Ghosh, and in 2013 Rituparno died. So which is why Srijit had to stop working on this particular film, and now he has cast Parambroto in this wonderful character, in this wonderful role. These are the three main characters. Everybody are main characters, but this is the look that Parambroto carries in this particular film in the role of Shotto. This is Ononna Chatterjee, and this is Ritik. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the names of the characters. So this is basically about 12 jury members, 12 jurors who are about to decide about a verdict where there is an accused and there is circumstantial evidence against the accused. And the jury is more or less pretty sure that this is the person who has committed the crime. He is a murder accused, of course. He has killed his own brother, fratricide, and so they will just decide. Kaushik Ganguly here leads he's the judge, he's the lead person, and he falls asleep and dreams that the 12 jury members have assembled together and they discuss. So Kaushik Ganguly dominates the proceedings through his perspective about the case. He says that it is an open and shut case. So this person has committed the crime. ও যে খুন করেছে সেটা আমরা সবাই বুঝতে পারছি, তো চলো সবাই হাত তুলি, একটা ভোটাভুটি হয়ে যায়। So if everyone agrees that he is the criminal, then we are done. Voting to complete করে বাড়ি যাই চলো, everyone has their own works. So 11 people agree. They raise their hands and say that he is a criminal, he should be hanged. The 12th, only one person, that is Porambroto, he says that no, I differ. And the moment he says he differs, he forces the entire jury members to come into a conversation, to talk about it, to find out, to discuss, to analyze for the first time why they think he is a criminal. And what is interesting is that by the end of this discussion, one by one, every jury member changes their opinion. And finally, everyone come to the conclusion that we cannot, given the evidence, that is how Indian law works, given the evidence that we have, we cannot brand this person as a criminal. And that is exactly that was being done. So this is where marginality comes in. But there are, you see, several layers of marginality. First one is marginality by gender. And as you saw in the role that Porambroto plays, Porambroto is presented as a homosexual man, a homosexual person, I'm sorry, and his gender choices reveal that, and he is also the one who, for the first time, goes against the rest of the people. So there is an interesting narrative, there is an interesting, parallel that is there. Okay, that whereas 11 people are of one opinion, Porambroto differs in that opinion. Immediately, therefore, he is being ostracized. Why is he being ostracized? Not only because he has gone against all the jury members, but every time what is being added to it is the fact that Porambroto is a non-heteronormative person. Okay? So this gender exclusion takes place, but stop here, because how have we seen films project alternate genders? Usually in a negative light, usually in a comic light, but Srijit's treatment here, although there obviously have been films that are turning the tables, that's changing that significantly in India over the last 20 or 25 years or so. But Srijit's treatment is brilliant here because Porambroto is the center. He takes the entire attention, and through logic, he turns the tables over everybody else, maintaining through his body the performativity of his alternate gender at the same time. So that is one way in which we can continuously, challenge accepted notions about binaries. The other is the marginalization by religion. That is so every little nuance is put here. Rahul Arunodoy Banerjee. I mean, he is one such character who plays the Muslim person. He is Saidul, I think his name. Initially, we don't know whether he's. This is something that's very interesting. In India, you know how the politics of name works. Okay, so as long as you are talking to a person, you don't know about his identity, his or her identity. But names suggest a lot to us. Names suggest our castes. Names suggest our class. Names suggest our religion. The moment we know that Saidul is a Muslim, immediately the rest of the group changes and talks about generalized stereotypical comments. So, but then Saibul again fights back. There is marginality of feminism by gender in a different way, because Shodoshini, another actor who is the daughter of the judge, she has been sexually marginalized. She has been subjected to a lot of trauma and rape and assault in her childhood within the family, about which she couldn't talk of, and that has led on to her changed circumstances, changed moods when she has grown up as a director. And again, you see, Shodoshini is prejudiced against the perpetrator, against the accused, merely because he is a man. Because he is a man, therefore, he must be a criminal. This kind of logic Shodoshini has developed, and that again goes back to her own traumatized past. There are marginalities with reference to class and caste as well. There is another interesting marginality which I'll talk about. This is the last point that I'll make. It's the marginality owing to age. In India, once again, we don't give due respect or consideration, not respect, but consideration to the old aged persons, to the geriatric issues, to age. Because you see, there is a character played by Falguni Chatterjee, another brilliant actor, and he is an old man, and whenever he's trying to say something, the rest of the group says, Dadu, tumi chup karo. This continuous reference to referencing by using the word Dadu. Okay, and interestingly, when Falguni talks to the younger Shodoshini and says, Ma, amar kothata shono, she immediately retorts, Api, daya kore, I hope everybody is understanding Bengali, Api daya kore হুটহাট করে সম্পর্ক বানাবেন না। তখন ফাল্গুনি বলছে যে এই মাত্র তো তুমি আমাকে দাদু বলছিলে, তার বেলায় সম্পর্ক পাতানো হলো না, যে আমি তোমাকে মা বললাম, তখনই সম্পর্ক পাতানো হয়ে গেল। So, the dialogue is racy, and there is Srijit's racy, Srijit's humor as well, that complexifies these positions of marginalities. And the rest, I think you should watch the film and please take a look at it, because it has taken up a wonderful treatment. It uses magic realistic techniques. I didn't talk about techniques and camera positioning and all that, editing. I haven't talked about that because I wanted to focus on the way marginalities are expressed in this particular film. Okay, that's it. Thank you.